Alrighty, welcome to this video. In this tutorial we're going to talk about animating in CSS. So let me show what we're starting out with here. I've linked this CSS file here. It's blank right now. Got an image tag going on with a horse, and then I have some image tags commented out. So because we're going to be animating those later, I just don't want them to be in the way. So that's where we're going to be. Now, I'm animating images here. You could be animating text. You could be animating divs. Basically animate whatever you want, but I'm doing mainly images here. So before we start, though, I'm going to hop over here. Let's take a look at the assignment. So the video will be placed here, obviously. You're going to be using CSS keyframe animation to create an animated background. So I want it to be it needs to have some sort of setting, make it thematic. Don't just do what I'm doing here and just animate random things, like have it make sense. I have some ideas here, like it could be in space, you could have UFOs flying around, it could be in the mountains, on a lake, basketball court, whatever. Just have it have some sort of theme. And what kind of a site this could be used for, that could be up to you, but I want it to be some sort of background that you could put a website on that would be kind of cool, make the site stand out and have something going on. Okay. You need to use the @keyframes. You're going to need to use all of these different types of animation properties. We'll go through all of them and what they mean. You need to use a from to animation and at least one from to animation and at least one percentage keyframe animation. Actually, I'm going to add something to this here. Down here, I'm going to say, you need to animate at least 5 different things. Alright, so either 5 different pictures or, 4 pictures and 1 div with some text in it. I don't really care, but it needs to have at least 5 things moving around. Okay, so that's the assignment. Let's hop into brackets again. Let's take a look at what we have. So all we have is this horse just hanging out. All right, and it has a class of run. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create the class. Now what you have to do is you have to basically, well, there's 2 ways to do it. You can set up the animation first and how you want it to do it and give all the properties, or you can, I can set up all the different animation properties and apply it to the horse picture, or I can set up the actual animation. So I'll set up the animation here first. It seems to make more sense that way. So I'm going to say we're going to use @keyframes, and then we're going to give the animation a name, basically. So I'll give it the name of horse. And then inside, we have to tell it what we want it to do. So I'm going to use from. Okay, and I'm going to say, so basically this is saying where the animation is going to start from. Okay, and then I got to define where it's going to go to. So we're basically going to be using to and from. All right, so it's going to start from, and I'm going to use transform again. And I'm going to say translate x. So I'm just going to say x0. And what that's saying is it's starting from exactly where it's at. So it's going to start from translate x0, which is, it doesn't move it, it just keeps it in the same spot. So it's going to start right here. Okay, right in this area. Okay, and then it's going to go to, and I can do transform again, translate x, and I can say, maybe I want it to go 800 pixels across the screen. So what I'm saying here is start from 0 pixels, and then, so we're starting from 0 pixels and we're going to 800 pixels on the x-axis. Now, of course, I could say translate y if I wanted it to go up and down. You can, and you should be able to add, well, we'll try that in a minute. You should be able to add more properties here as well. All right, so I'm going to save that. Now, it's not doing anything yet because I haven't actually applied this animation that I've defined. I haven't applied it to anything. So that's what we're going to do here. So this has a class of run. So we're going to say, okay, the animation name is going to be horse. Okay, because that's what I defined right here. All right, now we want this to take however long, so we can say animation duration. We want, I don't know, 3 seconds. It can be however long you want. It all depends on what you're doing. We're going to go animation timing function. These are, the different easings. So I can say ease in, out, ease out, linear. Linear, it doesn't ease in or anything. It's just the same motion. So I'll just say ease in for now. Animation iteration count. Now this is where I define how many times I want it to play. I could say infinite, and that would just make it loop, but I don't want it to do that. I only want it to play the one time. And then if I want, I could set up an animation delay, which basically means after the page loads, it will wait however long I say here before it'll actually do it. So I could say 2 seconds here. All right, now let's save that, and let's see what we get. Messed something up, sorry guys. I forgot over here the from and to. Yeah, those, you don't use parentheses there, using curly brackets. So that was my bad. Okay, there we go. Not gonna lie, and you're probably going, yeah, right. But when I typed that, I was like, that seems a little weird, but we got it, I think. So let's see. Save it, come over here. Refresh. I'm not gonna lie, guys, it's kind of early. So there's one other thing. I got these in the wrong spot. So these from and tos, I don't know if you know anything like JavaScript, think of these as kind of like functions, right? So that's the beginning of it, that's the ending. These semicolons need to be in between. So that's where we're going to put those. Okay, so let's save it now. Come back here. Let's refresh. Okay, and then there he goes. Now, you can see he kind of eases in. So he starts out slow and he goes a little bit faster. Okay, that's what we wanted. But then the problem is, though, he gets here and then he just kind of shoots back. And that's something that, we probably don't want because that looks a little weird. We want him to run over here and we want him to stop, right? So there's some other things we can say, and I'm going to get rid of this delay just because I don't want to be waiting the 2 seconds anymore. And then if we want him to go a little bit faster, we can say the animation is 2 seconds instead. And if we come back, refresh, he should just go. Okay, he goes a little bit faster now. Now I can come over here and I can say animation fill mode. Okay, and we have backwards, both, forwards, and none. Alright, so if I put in forwards, let's see what happens. Okay, that makes him stay. It basically says fill the animation forwards. In other words, like just keep going and don't go back. Just once it's done, keep going forward. Don't go. It's kind of like, think of the timeline, right? If you have a timeline and you go backwards on the timeline, it resets it, right? But this one says forward, and so it keeps moving forward. When it gets to the end, it stays forward, and it doesn't go back. All right, now if I were to change this to backwards, this, it kind of does what it was doing before. It gets to the end and then it jumps back. All right, so I'm going to keep that at forwards. Okay, and then another one we have is animation direction. I could say reverse. To be honest, I don't know if this is going to do anything really. Yeah, it starts it from the end and then brings it back. So if you have an animation defined that you want it to do the reverse, you can do that. Just kind of go animation direction, then put on there and have it go reverse. All right, so that's for the horse. Okay, so we're going to move on here. I'm going to uncomment the Pokeball. All right, so now we got that. Now it's way too big. So I'm going to lower it down about 300 pixels wide. Maybe. Oh, that's funny. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm in like a lower resolution here. Okay, there we go. Make it a little bit smaller here. Okay, I like that. Okay, so we're going to do kind of some similar stuff. So I'm going to set up that animation first. Okay, so keyframes. I'm going to call it Pokeball. That'll be the name of the animation. Now, instead of going to from and to, oh wait, hold on. I said I was going to try something here. And I may have to pause it like I have before, but I'm going to see if we can do multiple things here. So I'm going to go transform, translate Y. We're going to say 0 because we want it just to go where it's going. I'm just seeing if we can do multiple things here, but it's already looking really weird, so maybe not. We'll see in a minute here. Oh, you know what? It's probably going to be more like this. Sorry guys, I never really did this. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be something like, we just put it in as another one. So translate Y, 0, boom. Then we'll go transform, translate Y. We'll have them go down 300 pixels. Just double checking here to see if we can animate multiple properties at once, which I think we should be able to. Maybe not. I'm going to check on that real quick. Okay, I was playing around with a little bit. This is what I found out. So, I could be wrong here, but it just seems like it won't do both translates for whatever reason. So, what you can do is go here and we're going to say top 0. Then we'll say it's going to go left 0, so that's where it's going to stop or start from. And then we can tell it to go 200 pixels from the top, and then we can tell it to go 200 pixels from the left. Now in a perfect world, you would think, that's all you'd have to do, right? Oh, not so, right? So my guess and what I thought, and I was right, is because I'm telling it to start from the top left and it's this positioning, and because I haven't positioned it, it doesn't really know exactly what to do. So if I say position relative, that actually might just do it that. Yeah. So just positioning it and telling it how you want it to position, it'll do it. All right. That's interesting. Hold on, guys. I'm wondering if maybe if I just positioned that one, it would do it. Probably not. But, it's always fun to play around. Yeah. Still doesn't really work the way it should, so. But anyways, yeah, this is just stuff you're going to run into as you're playing around with this. Right. So, anyways, there we go. let's move on. So now we got the Pokeball. So this is just from and to, so we're animating from this to this. But if you need a little bit more control, you can do that and by using percentages. So one way you can do it is with the keyframes, you can say 0%. In other words, 0%. In other words, at the start of the animation, do whatever. So I'm going to stick with transform here. Okay, translate, and I'm going to say go to, we're going to be starting at 20 pixels on the x-axis and 300 pixels on the y. Okay, and I want to rotate 0 turns. Alright, so that's going to be where the Pokeball starts. Okay, and now you can just start defining, okay, at 0% where the animation starts, do this, and then, you know, I could say 20% in, do the following. I'm going to do similar stuff here. So I'm going to have it move across the screen. And I can have it kind of go back a little bit, which I'm going to do here. Okay, and then I'm going to have it rotate -1 turn. So you'll see it kind of turn back a little bit. Okay, and then I can say, alright, and then go to the end of the animation. Okay, transform, translate. I want it to head over, I don't know, 500 pixels, 300. You can see my y coordinate is always 300. So it'll just be moving across the x-axis. It'll never go up and down. And that's, you know, that's how I want it to be. Rotate 2 turns. Okay. So you can put in as many as you want. Depends on how many actions you want to have happen. Depends on how many things you want to be animated and moved. The more percentages you put in here, the more actions you can have. So now that I've defined that animation, I'm going to apply it. So if I come over to my HTML, the Pokeball is a class of poke, poke, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to start styling that. So poke. Alright, so animation name, right? First thing we got to do, it's going to be Pokeball. Animation duration, I'll say 3 seconds. Then we want to do the timing function, so I'm going to go ease in out. Okay. Let's see what else we got. So I'm going to have it, only have it play once. Okay, and then the animation delay. I want the horse to go first and then the Pokeball to kind of go a little bit after. So we'll say 2 seconds here. Alright, now let's see, and then I'm going to do the fill mode. And for now, I'm just going to say none. And we'll take a look at how that affects it. Okay, let's see what we get. So head back over here. Now, isn't that interesting? So it starts up here, right? And then, because that's where it is normally in the code, and then I tell it to translate, right? I tell it to go down here and go 300 pixels from where it was. So it starts up there, shoots down there, and then it does the animation. So it goes down and then it moves over, right? So this is where the fill mode is going to start to help a little bit. So again, if we do forwards, that's going to make it stop, right? So it'll come down, do its animation, then stop, but it won't shoot back. But if I say backwards, it goes. And you can see when it first starts to load, it'll go exactly where it needs to go. So it fills forwards, keeps going straight, and then it stops, right? Backwards tells it to start right where it's going to start. So if I don't have any delay there, like if I just have, you know, a 0-second delay, you're never really going to see it up here, right? Now, because I don't tell it to go forwards, it goes back here. But the thing is, that's what backwards does, is backwards basically tells it to go wherever it's going to start the animation, it just automatically goes to it. So that's what the backwards fill mode does. Okay. So, but you can have both. So I could say both here. So now I get kind of the best of both worlds here. So it starts down there, does its thing, and then it stops, and it never goes back to its original position. So that's just a good thing to know about the fill mode. Okay, now if you've noticed something, it's just rolling forward, right? And right here I'm telling it, I wanted it to roll back a little bit, but it didn't. This is where, you know, you need to be a little careful, and yeah, I made another mistake. So and it was hard to tell just the way that the code's getting squished up here. But if I do that, you can see that there's a space right here, and that was messing it up. So if I get rid of that space, then we should see it. So it goes back a little bit, and then it goes forward. All right, so yeah, just things to pay attention to. But anyways, we got, you know, the first 20% of the animation, it rolls back, and then the last 80% of the animation is dedicated to it rolling forwards. And then you can do the rotate, and you can do all those different kind of things. Okay, cool. So you can make things roll, you can have things move around. The next thing I'm going to do here is with this UFO. Yeah, let's keep that commented out. Okay, massively huge UFO. Okay, way too big. So I'm going to say around, you know, keep that about the same as the Pokeball. About one, well, no, that's a little, well, yeah, that's okay. That's good. So I'm sure you've seen them in websites where they have clouds coming across the screen or things like that. You can do similar stuff with CSS animation, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you here with the UFO. Yeah, let's do the Falcon too. You're probably going to want to do both here. Let's get that at 150 as well. All right. The Millennium Falcon should be probably a little bigger. That's okay. All right. So it's, you know, similar stuff. We're gonna kind of move everything up here a little bit. Then we'll just come down here and we'll start animating this. Now, before, we're going to be showing you kind of a shorthand way of doing this, which is kind of cool. And I'm sure right now you're going to be like, you jerk, why didn't you show us this right at the beginning? I know, I apologize, but it's good to know the different ways. So I'm going to style UFO. I'm going to give it a position of absolute here. I want it to be 20 pixels from the top. Now, because I want it to animate from, you know, because I want this to basically be animating from off the screen, I got to give it a negative value here. So I'm going to say left, let's see, it's what, 150, so I'll say 200 pixels off the screen. It's 150 wide, so it needs to be small, or it needs to be bigger than that to get it off the screen, right? So it's, you know, off the screen right now. Now, before I just kind of I had to set up keyframes and I had to give it an animation. I had to give the name or the animation a name and so forth. But we can do shorthand. I could say right here, I can say animation, give it the name of fly. Okay, and I can say I want it to take 35 seconds. Now I want to give it a delay so that you can put that in as a second number. So 5 seconds, and I want it to be linear. In other words, I don't want any easing. I just want it to go the same speed across the page. And then I can say infinite. And what that does is it just says play forever. So once that animation is done, go back and play it again. Once it's done, go back and play it again until the end of time. Now, this is just kind of a cool way of doing it shorthand. Instead of having to go through and do all these lines, I mean, to do this before, right, I'd have to say animation name, put that in there, then I'd have to say animation duration, animation timing function, animation iteration count, right? Like, not a fan. This is way quicker. Now, of course, we have a problem. I haven't defined the animation fly, right? So I need to do that now. So at keyframes, fly. And I'm going to just have this be a simple from and to. Okay, so from, we'll do transform again. Translate X. Again, it's just going to start at 0. It's going to go 2. So translate X, and I'm going to have this go, well, right now, see that right now the width of my screen, my resolution is about 1280. So I'm going to have it go to 1300. And we'll see how that works. Okay. All right, so let's see what happens here. Oh, there he is. He's gone. So I refresh. Okay, they do its thing. Maybe we waited a little too long on that delay. But anyway, so it comes out there. You can see it doing its thing, right? So the animation is going to take 35 seconds for it to finish. It had a delay of 5 seconds, which I think, now that I think about it, was way too long. We'll have a delay of 1 second. So it just comes out, and then it just slowly moves across, right? If we want it to go faster, we can lower that second. The linear is just, there's no change in speed, it's just going. And infinite means, you know, once it gets to the 1300 pixels here, it's going to just repeat, and it's going to keep going. Okay, so now we can do, well, I guess we can watch it because it's just so amazing, people. Okay, now look, it disappeared right there, right? So now we know that, okay, the 1300 wasn't big enough. So the 13 must have been, you know, it must be counting it, I don't know, I'm guessing probably from this side of it. So we just need to up it by, you know, maybe 200 pixels, something like that. And then we'll get an idea if that's big enough. Because obviously we want it to go off the screen without it just kind of disappearing. Yeah, and that worked fine. So, and then you can see it just goes again because we're set to infinite loop. All right, so we want to do something similar to the Falcon. Okay, so we gave it a class of Falcon. We gave that a class of UFO. So I'm going to say class Falcon. And I'm going to say position absolute as well. This one, though, I'm going to make it be a little bit higher from the top because I don't want it to be on the same spot as the UFO. And then this one, I could, if I wanted it to go the other direction, right, I could say right, negative, we'll go, what's the Falcon 200? So we'll go negative like 250. So it's off. And then we just have to define the animation. So we're going to say fly. We'll tab this go a little bit faster than the UFO. We'll give it like a 2-second delay, linear, infinite. I hope I can have reverse here. Because we want it to go, we want it to reverse. We want it to be over on the right hand side and then move over to the left. That should work. We'll see. Maybe. If not, I'll be pausing this. Yeah, it may be animating like way out here or something. Wait. Oh, there it is. It's way out there. Interesting. So we may have to define. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it starts way off here and then it goes another 1500 pixels way over to the right and then it starts moving over, and so yeah, it just doesn't really work. So yeah, we'd probably want to just define a completely different animation here for that. So we can go keyframes, fly to. We're going to say from. It's just going to be really similar to what we had before, just it's going to be kind of different. So we'll go, we're going to start it at 1500 pixels over. Okay, and then we'll set it like that. Say translate X again. We want it to go to 0 pixels. Okay, and then we'll just come over here and we'll say we're going to start you at fly 2. That'll be the animation that it uses. Just taking a look at this real quick. So I can see what's going on, so I can refresh here and I can see that it's moving away. It's going that way, right? So we should be able, oh, well, that's because we have reverse there. So, yeah, get rid of the reverse. There it is. Comes in, does its thing. So yeah, you can have, oh, it's still way off though. Or is it? We're just gonna say right, we'll make it 250 pixels from the right. Okay, yeah, so then it goes back. All right, yeah, so that was right. We want it off the screen. And then we can just kind of play with this number a little bit. We could say, 1400, something like that. But anyways, play with the numbers until we start getting it. Do I have a... Yeah, I don't really want a delay, to be honest. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think it starts way at the right, and then when I say 1500 pixels, it pushes it another. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. And this is what you'll be doing, by the way. You'll just kind of be playing around. So, in case you don't get what I'm doing, so I have it, right? So I have it negative 250 from the right. So it takes it from here and it moves it kind of 250 off, which is fine. That's what we want. But then I say from where it is to begin with, I translate it, another 1400 pixels. So I shoot it off big time. It's like over here, and then I shoot it off another 1400 pixels. So we don't want that. So I'm going to say, translate X because we want it to stay 0 from where it is. But then we're going to go negative 1500 pixels. And you guys may have been watching that and going, no duh, Dave, that's what it should have been. Whatever, idiot. But, playing around, learning, right? So there we go. Now it's working. Now it's doing what we should. But yeah, I could say, 15 seconds, make it go a little bit faster, right, than the UFO. So, anyways, guys, play around with it, and you'll be good. But yeah, that's how you do what you need to do. And if any help that you need, let me know. But like I said, I want you to create some sort of scenic background that you could use on a web page that just has things moving and animating and doing what they should do. Right? You got 2 weeks to do this, so it should be good. Right? Anyways, guys, we'll talk to you later. Have an awesome day.